Forgiveness was not in my heart back then. No clue there was such thing as youth gangs. Violence is a learned behavior.
Well, I think adversity is what brings us to spirituality often. The same person who causes sort of the pain is the same person that inspires how amazing you can be.
It's just a smile that just welcomes someone and says, hey, you're with friends. You can rest. That's kind of what we do.
People just shout things and then other people shout back. Everyone's waiting for their turn to talk and no one's actually listening. It doesn't have to be, I can only win if you lose. We can all win.
Don't I want to get to know him and have some love with him before he leaves this realm with my dad? And I actually spent the last week of his life with him. I was like his death doula and played music for him, read cowboy stories to him, combed his hair.
You know, my mother pounded that into my head. You're going to get beaten up left and right. That's life. Life is all about learning, rolling with the punches. You want to attack me? You want to call me this? You want to not them? It's not you. You have choices to react in a bad way or ignore and continue your life and keep going on your journey.
I think it goes back to the unwillingness to take responsibility. Somebody is to blame. It's very comforting to say, all these people are the source of evil.
See one another as one big, beautiful soul. You were the first person to teach me that. We are not really our outside shells. We really aren't even our personalities or our blood type. We are a soul and we're all connected as one soul. And if you hurt one of us, you actually hurt everybody.
Realizing I can feel good about myself with you, not by being against you. I'll even feel better about myself with you than against you.
I am just fascinated by the idea that the brain can heal the body.
We eat different things, we experience different environments, and so all of these things come together and create unique individual that you are. And so the question then in my research and where we're headed is, how do you capture this uniqueness? And so we think that we can capture this in blood. Back to Genesis, right? God says, life is in your blood. Dramatic decline in the release of extracellular vesicles from individuals that were experienced meditators. So there's a resiliency, I think, that meditation creates.
Power in the written word. Anytime you have a negative emotion, it can get trapped in the body.
Yes.
I say, I forgive you. I release this from myself because it no longer serves me. I will no longer allow this situation to affect me. In the second step, I say, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I held on to this. Even if it's just 5 minutes or that day, it will no longer be allowed to bother me. Thank you for this situation and this opportunity to learn from this. And the next thing I say to every stinking one of them is, I love you. That is where the magic happens.
The only thing that exists is God. Association with whatever happened to me is not the ultimate truth of what happened to me. What happened to me was between me and God.
I believe that the most important thing is to follow your dreams, to believe in yourself. And even when it really looks bad, very often when it looks bad, that's when it starts to get great.
To stop and actually sit with what we've been running from. Oh.
And being it may be tough, but in those moments, you're going to learn how to handle situations with it. And in order to get yourself at a place where you can still feel good. Something bad happened to you and you just ignore it, that energy is sitting in you.
People are so quick to own and like literally fight for a person, a man with either a blue tie or a red tie. They've never met. They don't know personally. They don't know anybody who knows them.
I was going to mosque 5 times a day. Ultra-Orthodox Muslim. Started researching as much as I could. I taught myself Hebrew and English. And that led me on a very long educational journey that I would say that it's still going. Actually, completely transformed the way I think about the Jewish people, history, culture, humanity. And that led me to take very different positions and be aware of that thing called anti-Semitism and its absolutely destructive potential in the lives of individuals, societies, nations.
Solutions. We have to recognize that even if one's not at fault, one can still be contributing to a status quo or contributing to a conflict.
The character is telling me that he lives under my occupation. And from telling the stories of his family's experience, I realized that my people's triumph is his people's tragedy, and my people's justice is his people's suffering.
If you actually study and understand the tendencies or understand what a sociopath is, or he didn't have the empathy. He didn't have the reason to tell me anything because he couldn't feel my pain or really even understand it. But it was only when I realized he was a narcissist that I was free.
You just can't pay it. You're unable. You may be unwilling. I don't know, but I need to take that on myself, write it off. And part of that is just to say, well, that cost me, but it's worth it. It's worth taking that cost on myself to stop waiting around as if I'm going to be repaid.
I need to forgive God and realize we are put on this earth with free will. If he made this man love me and be what he's supposed to be, then he infringes on his free will. And so I had to forgive God and understand that his ways were far above my ways. I could never think like him. He is thinking in chess pieces. I'm over here playing checkers.
Closest thing that we have to telepathy, to wearing someone else's skin, to seeing through someone else's eyes, is actually listening to their story. Very, very hard to hate someone if you know their story.
I need to be safe in order to be of service and benefit for anybody else. Trust that there are going to be people that come into your life going to give you a hand, and it's going to be genuine. And even if you come from a place of skepticism where you don't trust that something might be true, don't ever limit yourself. You know, I always take life that I just jump without knowing what's going to be underneath me. And if I fall and get hurt, I can get back up and keep on going. But I'm going to jump because what could be just over the hill might be the biggest blessing of my life.
Because people think intimacy is sex, and it's so much different.
There's value in every part of me, and it doesn't have to look like what that looks like for someone else.
You know, and one of the things that keeps us stuck is we're constantly lying to ourselves about who we are and what we want and what we feel. We stay in relationships that we know is not aligned. Fear kind of hijacks us. And I think if we're truly growing and expanding in life, it's not in the absence of fear. If we're truly growing and expanding and evolving, you will feel fear. The fact that you feel fear is a sign to a degree that you might be on the right path.
I showing up in a way that would give them permission to think that I'm a threat. I have to do that mental acrobatic stunt in my mind and in my heart and in my body. I don't have the experience of these guys are generally here to help me. You gotta acknowledge that we as oppressed group in a country that we were taken to and stripped of culture and stripped of identity, pinned against each other for enjoyment of slave owners. If all these white people are putting up black squares, then once again what's being amplified is white voices. This ain't the time, right? Because it has been a safe space for you to tell your story for 400 years. It's never been safe for us.
Who is going to protect you from a warplane dropping missiles? Helpless feeling of an ant with a powerful force above your head is one of my own life narratives. And I remember sitting on the stoop of our house. It was a really cold morning, and I was holding our transistor radio in my hands, clutching it, because that was my only sense of comfort in knowing whether they were coming to our neighborhood or not. We were the Beverly Hills Unified School District's answer to Salt and Pepper. I don't remember who was Salt and who was Pepper. I'm pretty sure when my parents escaped Iran, they didn't envision a future for me in which 6 years later I would stand on a cafeteria lunch table and rap the first chorus of Shoop, which is my cousins in Iran. They're still there. They can't tell their story. My life is wasted if I don't use the voice that I have now.
It's a self-starting type of energy. It's already inside of you. Sometimes you just have to spark it.
but it's already within you. There's nothing you have to do to get it. You can hate someone and you really don't know what's going on with that person. And that energy is amazing. It feels warm. It feels empowering because now I can go everywhere around the world and say, I'm angry. I'm angry. Look at what you did to me. I understand the energy and what it feels like. It's amazing energy. Nobody wants to say that out loud, but it is, because you want to hold on to the hate because that's what empowering you, but you got to find a new energy. Let life give you a new energy.
Yes.
Because that energy is sucking your life away.
It really doesn't matter what our opinions are. In order to choose love, I had to first choose forgiveness. When you vulnerably and in the most naked way offer wholehearted forgiveness, it stops your story. There's one immutable principle that seems to be a hallmark in all traditions, is the healing power of forgiveness.
Ego causes us to view ourselves as separate from others. Then here comes this pandemic that shuts us off from actually connecting to others, which I think illuminated how much we really need each other.
100%.
I really see this whole pandemic as a global healing. I'm certain that it's the work that I did to really understand and believe in my deep inherent value, not from an egoic place. It's more like I am a valuable person and I am not going to let anyone treat me less than the way I deserve to be treated.
That's how it's connected. Any kind of anti-God or anti-Judeo-Christian sentiment, it's going to come to the Jewish people. And it doesn't matter if they're religious or Zionist even or not. I saw the most during this last war between Israel and Hamas. Jews in general were just being attacked.
Yeah, self-hating Jews.
And exactly, we went to counter-protest. My wife organized this counter-protest, so we went and protested against this anti-Zionist protest that was happening here in Charlotte, North Carolina. The person who was saying the most egregious things against me was one of the few Jews that were on that side. He called me self-hating and a sellout. And I thought what was so ironic, a few minutes later, one of the guys on that side, he was an Arab man, told one of the Jewish guys on our side that the Nazis should have finished the job on you guys. I know where my place is, and my space is not to post and write or talk about Jews who don't support Israel, because our thing is the Black community. You know, we really want to focus on that. But just that image I got of, wow,
this is not just about Israel.
Side of people. Yeah, you're on the side of people who support the Nazis.
What do you do when things are bad? Like, what happens when someone dies? I was talking to a friend one time and they were like, no, I don't believe in anything. But I feel like there's so much pressure on the person then, because everything is up to you. Things don't go the way I planned. There's always a sense of it probably wasn't meant to be.
Everyone is a beautiful soul. Everyone. We are so conditioned in this world to look at the exterior. We miss so much.